There is blood everywhere. It is soaking into the cream-colored rug, speckling the oak coffee table, and dripping down the walls of a quiet suburban living room. Millie stands in the middle of it, terrified, with crimson caked into her fingernails, as she calculates how many seconds she has before someone knocks on the door. 3 months before this, Millie and her husband Enzo are attempting to build a normal life. They have 2 children, Nico and Ada, and have spent over a decade in cramped apartments. Millie is also an ex-con, a secret she keeps hidden because a quiet, unremarkable existence is the only thing she wants. That life seemingly begins when they purchase a house at a steep discount in this wealthy, tree-lined cul-de-sac on Long Island. They finally have a lawn, a second floor, and a picture window overlooking a neighborhood rated as one of the best places to raise a family. But the desperation to leave their past behind makes them vulnerable. When you are terrified of losing the security you finally scraped together, you tend to ignore the behavior of the people living in the houses next door. The neighbor at number 12, Suzette Lowell, greets the Ackhardys with a smile, but her compliments are laced with jabs about the small size of their home. She also spends her time openly flirting with Enzo while Millie is standing right there. Across the street, Janice rarely leaves her home. Instead, she watches the street from her darkened window, silently tracking every movement her neighbors make. Then there is Martha, Suzette's cleaning woman, who starts working for the Ackhardys. Millie catches her standing frozen in doorways, staring blankly, and eventually discovers her silently rifling through a private desk drawer in the living room. The most disturbing behavior comes from Suzette's husband, Jonathan. When Millie introduces herself and touches his arm, he flinches in revulsion and sprints back into his house, checking to ensure his wife is watching him. The neighborhood operates on a collective social contract, where everyone ignores these interactions. They smile, wave, and maintain an image of normality, regardless of how uncomfortable the reality becomes. That image shatters when Jonathan Lowell is found dead in his living room, stabbed in the abdomen with his throat slit. The police zero in on Enzo. Janice saw him entering the Lowell house around the time of the murder. He also came home late a few nights earlier, smelling of Suzette's perfume, and Millie finds him scrubbing a blood-stained shirt in their kitchen sink. Enzo eventually reveals that he had been secretly meeting with Martha, the maid. Martha was suffering severe domestic abuse from her husband, and Enzo was orchestrating a discreet escape plan for her, even providing the money she needed to flee. Enzo's desire to help Martha forced him to hide these meetings from Millie. His lies, and being seen on the Lowell property doing yard work, gave the police a narrative of motive and opportunity. Enzo is innocent, which creates a new problem for Millie. The person who killed Jonathan Lowell is still living on their quiet street. The truth begins with Millie's 9-year-old son, Nico. After breaking a window at the Lowell house with a baseball, Nico was sent there to perform chores to pay for the repair. This blueprint reveals a secret Nico discovered. The square footage between the first floor and basement conceal a hidden void space beneath the stairs. Inside, investigators find a mattress soaked with a massive bloodstain, revealing the violence Jonathan hid for years. Jonathan used the reputation of his neighborhood as a shield. In a community focused on appearances, no one asked questions about what occurred inside the largest house on the block. He was an opportunistic predator who used his wealth and social standing to intimidate victims, confident that his status would deflect any scrutiny. Ada Ackardy, Millie's 11-year-old daughter, is the person who actually confronted and killed Jonathan Lowell. Ada had snuck into the Lowell house to investigate the hidden room her brother told her about. While she was inside, Jonathan returned, blocked the only exit, and trapped her. With Jonathan advancing on her in the soundproof space, Ada grabs a knife Enzo had left behind from his yard work and thrusts it into his abdomen to clear a path to the door. An 11-year-old child used lethal violence to survive. The weight of taking a life, even in self-defense, has left her deeply traumatized. Ada's actions were the consequence of a system of adults who failed to identify a predator and protect the children in the neighborhood. Ada is never arrested. Instead, detectives confront Suzette Lowell with physical evidence recovered from the crime scene. When technicians swept the hidden room under the stairs, they found Suzette's fingerprints throughout the space. Suzette knew exactly what Jonathan was doing. She was aware of his crimes, but chose to stay silent, allowing him to put children in danger so she could keep her affluent lifestyle. Suzette Lowell eventually confesses to the murder of her husband. By admitting to the killing, she ends the police investigation and avoids a trial that would have exposed her role as an accomplice to Jonathan's long history of predatory crimes. The Accardis kept their house, but they found the danger in their neighborhood came from the person who was watching the violence happen from the house next door and stayed silent.